I want to first say thank you so much to Debbie and to Dr. Klinghardt for having us here. We've had a long time relationship with them, and we really appreciate the invitation and the opportunity to educate and to help you guys. You're helping yourselves, which is great. So congratulations on being here and empowering yourself and your own wellness as well as the wellness of those that you are treating and taking care of. Just a little tiny bit of background on myself real quick. I've worked for Sunlighten for 9 years. Before I worked at Sunlighten, I worked at a laboratory in Kansas City, which is where Sunlighten is based and where I'm from. I worked at a laboratory that did specialized testing for children with autism, organic acid testing, immunodeficiency testing. We did some Lyme testing, metals testing, that kind of thing, yeast overgrowth. So that's how I kind of got into the industry. That was my first job out of college. I actually have a background in veterinary medicine and graduated from vet school, didn't go on to be a vet, went into working with children with autism and worked there for several years, and that industry introduced me to Sunlighten, and all the doctors that I was working with when I worked at the laboratory were recommending to their patients to get a Sunlighten sauna for detox. And that's how I met the company and how I came to be here. So my background is biology and chemistry. I'm not a doctor, but didn't even quite go on to do practicing veterinary medicine, but 16 years of background with autism and other types of chronic infections and chronic health issues. So who is Sunlighten? And my apologies, this is a PDF, not a PowerPoint. So we're gonna just do that. A little bit of background on Sunlighten. We are a health and wellness company. Again, located in Kansas City. It's owned by a husband and wife team, Connie and Aaron Zach. And the entire company was born from Jason Jeffers, who's pictured here at the top left. That's Connie's brother. He got very, very, very ill in his 20s. And this was probably about 20 years ago, so no one knew what was going on with him. Like many of you have had to turn over several rocks to find yourself here. He did the same thing. Turns out he had several amalgams, mercury amalgams put in when he was a teen, and he seemed fine for a while, and then he got in a very bad car accident, and that seemed to be the impetus of releasing. All of a sudden now he had fibromyalgia, and he had vertigo, and he had horrible headaches, and he was losing all his muscle tone. He was very, very sick. They couldn't figure out why. And it was finally a holistic dentist, which 20 years ago, there wasn't a lot of those, that figured out what was going on with him, and that the mercury was causing all of these issues. And it was like, okay, now what do you do about it? He ended up finding through a very caring, compassionate aunt of his who was doing a lot of research for him. She ended up finding him an infrared sauna through a doctor overseas, because 20 years ago you didn't just go online and buy one like you do now. And she introduced him to it, and that in addition to having the amalgams removed, nutrition, supplements, all of those things completely turned his life around, and he regained his health. The owners of the company, my manager, Connie and Aaron, are watching this happen from the wings, watching his health, and decided to group together and say, let's bring the infrared saunas to everyone. Let's make this affordable. Let's make it something that you can be in the US and get. You don't have to have some doctor overseas trying to get this for you. So that was the birth of the company in 1999, and here we are today. And I want to get a little bit of feedback from you guys, just so I'm either not getting too technical or not technical enough. Has everybody here for more or less heard of infrared? More or less? Anybody familiar with using one? Okay, cool. So we're on the same company here. So some of this will be just a brief review. Infrared is a wavelength of light you get from the sun, okay? It's totally natural. It's a healing heat. All warm-blooded mammals need infrared to survive. They use it with newborn babies in incubators and hospitals, just to give you an idea of the safety of it. What a lot of people don't realize is that there are different wavelengths of infrared. What you can kind of see here is infrared is obviously different from UV rays, from microwaves, from a lot of those things that are not good for us. There are 3 different wavelengths of light within the infrared spectrum, and most people aren't aware of that. There's near, there's mid, and there's far. For today's focus on detoxification, I want to focus on the far infrared. Far infrared, just like the name indicates, is the longest wavelength or the farthest wavelength, and it's going to be the wavelength that gets down to where those fat-soluble toxins are. That's what's going to pull toxins out of your body, is the far infrared. Really briefly, the mid and the near infrared have their own set of health benefits, and they are complementary to far infrared. We have 2 different lines of saunas that offer both, but what we have here today for you to see and what I'm going to focus on is far infrared, because that's the most important thing for you all, is the detoxification. As you can see here, it's totally different than traditional saunas, traditional infrared. It's not extremely hot. If you have a good quality medical grade infrared sauna, all of that heat that's being generated, all that energy, I should say, that's being generated from the heater is going into warming your body, okay? Not making the air around you really hot. That's why traditional saunas are so unbearable. All of that energy is being created into convectional heat and making it, 180 degrees, and you're like, it's very stifling. You can't stay in there for very long. I think it might have been Dr. Klinghardt, and correct me if I'm wrong, and it's been a long time ago, that did a study on the results of sweat from a traditional sauna and an infrared sauna. Collected a group of participants that used a traditional hot rock and steam, like your traditional Finnish sauna, tested their sweat, had it sent off to a laboratory, and had it tested to see what was coming out of their body. Also did it with an infrared sauna. Infrared showed to be 7 times more effective at detoxing the body, meaning 97% of what came out of the body in a traditional sauna was water, only 3% was toxins. With the infrared, 80% was water and 20% was toxins. So that's just a perfect example. And when you read about infrared and you go online and you look at different options out there, you'll see that it'll say 7 times more effective than a traditional sauna at detoxifying the body. So, I should have scrolled down a little bit more. Just real briefly, this is basically how the 3 different wavelengths break down. Again, far infrared being the longest, it's going to focus most on where our fat cells are stored and where our toxins are stored. Mid-infrared is a little bit of a shorter wavelength. It's going to focus more on our soft tissues and help more with pain relief and inflammation. The near-infrared, I think you've probably heard a lot about near-infrared more in recent years, very similar to low-light laser or cold laser. That helps more with skin conditions, anything that's skin-related. And then, like I said, I'm going to focus today on far infrared. That's the most important thing. And what I want to really, what I want to really focus on with far infrared is why it's so important to raise your core body temperature. A lot of you in here already naturally have low core body temperature, or even if you have a pretty regulated core body temperature, if you are wanting to create a hyperthermic environment inside your body, that's what needs to happen in order to disenable the bacteria, the Lyme bacteria. That's the key. I mean, that is the #1 reason why anyone with Lyme should be using an infrared sauna. And obviously, time is money, and a lot of people have spent already a lot of time and a lot of money trying to get healthier. So our goal as a health and wellness company is to make sure that we are producing a wavelength of light that has the ability to raise your core body temperature. Just because something says it's infrared or says it's a far infrared sauna, or yes, it gets hot and it makes you sweat, does not mean that it's producing the correct wavelength of light in order to raise your core body temperature. Our sauna is the only sauna that's been shown to increase core body temperature by 3 degrees. And that's the key. That's the 3-in-1 punch that you get with a Sunlighten far infrared sauna. Raising core body temperature is going to boost your immune system, which we all need that. It's also going to help you to detoxify and get rid of those fat-soluble toxins. It's also going to help you to, a lot of times people are carrying additional heavy metals, obviously, as well as weight. And a lot of times being overweight and the heavy metals are tied together. That's also going to help you to burn additional calories and to detoxify. So those are if you take nothing else away from me today, is make sure that if this is something that you decide to invest in, that you're getting a product that raises your core body temperature by at least 3 degrees. That's where you're going to see these results. The way that our company, we have a patented heating technology. It's called solo carbon. The way that we produce this specific wavelength of light that has the ability to raise your core body temperature is through a proprietary manufacturing process. There is something that on this slide that is not in your notes that I want you guys to take note of, because it's so, so important. The last bullet point, ultra low EMF. I know most people here have EMF sensitivities, and EMF causes issues for them. As a health and wellness company, one of the #1 things that we strive to do is, obviously we want to make an effective product, but we need to make it safe for you, okay? As long as you have a piece of technology, this laptop, the projector, your cell phone, your computer, as long as something plugs into the wall, there's gonna be some level of EMF. So if you find information online about saunas with no EMF, take it with a grain of salt. If it plugs into an outlet, there's gonna be some EMF. So our goal, again, as a health and wellness company, is to take extra manufacturing steps to make sure that we're keeping that as low as possible. That means wrapping all the wires in steel conduits, running positive and negative energies throughout the heaters themselves to zero out EMF and to make it as low as possible. We have done third-party testing on our saunas to show that they are at the highest level, 0.05 milligauss, which is incredibly low. 0.01 is the lowest they measured, 0.05 is the highest they measured. So this is definitely kind of an example of, just because it says infrared and just because it's hot and makes you sweat doesn't mean it's necessarily safe and doesn't mean it's effective. This is a patented process that we have developed. The biggest piece of why you're raising core body temperature is the emissivity of our infrared. And again, that's another part of the patented piece. Emissivity is very similar to, I think my best example is a vitamin. You could go to Walmart and you could buy, a big old jug of vitamins, and it would be really probably inexpensive. Let's say $12. How much of that active ingredient of that vitamin are you actually getting from that type of a vitamin? Versus you go to your practitioner and you order a vitamin, it probably costs 3 times as much, but you're getting more of the active ingredient, less of the filler. That's another thing that's extremely important about infrared. You want to make sure that that infrared wavelength of light you're getting is less filler and more of that specific wavelength of light that's needed to actually raise core body temperature. The laws of physics and science tell us that you need to be at 9.4 microns. That is the sweet spot. That's the bullseye. That's the target. 9.5 is great, 9.3 is great, 9.4 is where you want to be. What this graph is showing here is another third-party study that we had done showing that our heaters are emitting 95% of the time, they're emitting that 9.4 microns. We also have a line that is emitting it a little bit higher at 99%. So that's, when you read about emissivity or you hear about emissivity, that's what it's referring to. It's like, how much of that active ingredient is your body getting? How much of that true infrared that has the ability to change your body are you receiving while you're in the sauna? So emissivity is really important. One of the things that I want to leave you with today, or share with you today, not leaving you quite yet, is the different needs that you have, whether it's Lyme, whether it's autism, whether it's autoimmune dysfunction, the different needs that you have and the solutions that can be offered with our infrared saunas. Hopefully most of you either have or will stop by our booth. What I want you to experience, even if you're somebody who's heat sensitive and you're not real big on wanting to get in there fully clothed and sweat, just go in for a couple of minutes and experience our sound, which is acoustic resonance therapy, which we have installed, as well as the chromotherapy. And I'm going to touch more on those here in a second. But they're mentioned a lot. Oops. Oh, I can do this. They're mentioned a lot in our solutions because that is a key piece of what we offer, again, as a health and wellness company, is these accessories, these add-ons, these kits that you can add to your infrared sauna. So it's not just about infrared therapy or heat therapy. It's also about light therapy and sound therapy. I do want to mention real quick, because a lot of these things are pretty self-explanatory, but this was just released last week, I think on Monday or Tuesday, when we're talking about depression, which a lot of people with Lyme suffer from depression. There was an article released in a scientific journal on Monday or Tuesday from the University of Wisconsin at Madison that said raising core body temperature on a regular basis helps with serotonin production. So this is basically why a sauna can make you happy. It's something that we've always been, again, not more experiential, not clinical, just based on us using the product and our clients using the product. That's just feedback we've always gotten. It makes you happier. You get a release of endorphins. You kind of get that runner's high after you use the sauna, but we've never really understood the science behind it. So if you're interested, this came out literally a couple days ago, so I don't have the actual study, but if you go onto Google and you do a search for University of Wisconsin at Madison, sauna and depression, or raised core body temperature and depression, you'll find the study, and that's really, really exciting. Something that we've always known to be the case now has some studies and some science behind it. And as I mentioned, I do want to touch on the chromotherapy really quick because I know this is important, and there's a lot of really great chromotherapy products on the market. I think here they even have some of the glasses that you can put on. Essentially, that's what chromotherapy is. Chromo is color therapy or light therapy. This is light that you experience on the visible spectrum. So this is the light we see, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. The light you're experiencing as heat inside the sauna is invisible. So that's why you're never going to see with an infrared sauna, you should never see anything glowing a color unless it's offering the chromotherapy kit. Like the heaters themselves, what's producing the infrared is not something you're ever going to see unless you put on goggles, like infrared goggles, you could see it. Chromotherapy is the use of visible light, and it also produces different wavelengths and frequencies and specific vibrations that work within the body. Here's a chart that gives you a little bit more background on different colors and how they resonate with different parts of the body. I find myself, because I have eye condition, and I find myself at in front of a computer straining my eyes every day. At the end of the day, my absolute favorite color is the blue, like the indigo. You'll notice there that it says it helps address eye inflammation, cataracts, glaucoma, and ocular fatigue. So it's no wonder why I've been drawn to blue for so many years, and this kind of explains why. So you can use different colors to treat different conditions. So the sauna, what we've kind of created is there's this multi-sensory experience going on. You're receiving the heat, which is raising your core body temperature, which is doing so many great things. If you get the chromotherapy, you're also experiencing the color and how that can affect different parts of your body. The third thing...
A question?
Yes.
Do you choose the color, or does it run through a program?
Great question. So if you want to come by the booth, the kit comes with a remote, little like credit card size remote, and allows you to change the color. So you can select the color, you can select the intensity of the color. You can have it fading in and out slowly on different colors. You can do whatever you want, however you want to do it. You can even put one bulb, because there's 2 bulbs in the ceiling, you can put one bulb on one color and one bulb on another color. So you can do a lot of different combinations of things. Like I said, I'm a blue person, so I like to have it on blue the whole time I'm in there, but people use it in different ways. The third accessory, or I guess experiential feature that we have, and again we have it here today so you can experience it, because this is something that's very hard to explain, is sound therapy. And I know, again, there's also other good sound therapy products on the market. Sound therapy is something that helps you to get into that parasympathetic state in your brain. You're actually changing brainwave patterns. This is something that is used a lot with children with autism who have a lot of sensory issues. And there's a lot of people that don't have autism that still have sensory issues. Even if you're a type A person and you have a hard time kind of bringing your mind down and getting yourself to that place where you're relaxed and you're matching what your body is experiencing in the sauna, the SoSound is a great way to do this. This is something that Sunlighten offers. It's a kit that you install under the bench of your sauna. It connects to your sound system. It comes with a CD with music that is being offered at a very specific resonance, a very specific frequency, so that you're feeling your body, you're hearing the music. It's nice, relaxing, kind of spa music, but your body is feeling those vibrations throughout the cabin, throughout the bench. So that's an amazing, amazing add-on. I find myself sometimes at the office just going out into the showroom and not getting into a sauna that's turned on, but just using the SoSound for 15 minutes. It's a great little midday break. And I don't want to go too fast or too slow, so let me know if I'm doing okay on time. Okay, perfect. Because this is kind of one of the things that I want to follow with before I give you guys a question and answer opportunity. We have a tremendous amount of success stories. Again, so much of what we hear about, I mean, we're not doctors, we're not a research facility, we manufacture and sell saunas, but we get this kind of feedback from our clients and customers all the time. And I would say probably our Lyme disease customers are the most, they keep the best records, is probably the best way to put it. They document everything, they journal everything. They diary or keep track of everything that they're doing, including how the sauna has helped them and what they're doing in conjunction with the sauna. The sauna is not ever necessarily meant to be something that is a magic bullet that takes care of all your problems. You're doing it in conjunction with nutrition and other things as well. And we're seeing, I mean, this is just a small sampling of the kind of results that we're seeing from our clients who are seeing, maybe not even a remission, but just getting better, and getting better in any way, shape, or form is a good thing.